My brother's wedding is a total nightmare. How do I handle it?
Just wake up. Easy.
My 22-year-old brother, Andrew, and his 21-year-old fiance, Christy, have been planning, quote-unquote, their wedding for over a year now. The date is set for April 25th of 2015. Initially, she had asked me to be a bridesmaid, but after, she also wanted my daughter to be a flower girl, my husband to be a groomsman, me to do her makeup and engagement photos as a gift to her, and help with details the day of. I felt it was too much on one plate. By the way, this comes from user Dreaming Myriad. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Quite frankly, I can't afford her very specific dress, a floor-length ball gown, which she still has not selected, specific shoes, a tuxedo for my hubby, a flower girl dress for my daughter, high-quality makeup in her skin tone, and over $500 in photo sittings and editing. It's just too much time and money that I don't have. I sat her and my brother down and gently let them know that I wouldn't be a bridesmaid, though I was honored she had chosen me, because I didn't think I'd be a good bridesmaid with so much on my plate. They seemed sad, but took it well, and until recently had no further problems. Fast forward to this past weekend. They came over for dinner and talked with me and my mom about their wedding plans. I'm just going to sum the ideas up here. They want to have their ceremony outside. We mentioned that it would almost certainly be freezing. On the same date this past year, it was 30 degrees with 15-mile-an-hour icy wind and ice rain later in the day. Christy's response was, well, I should be warm in my dress. It's pretty heavy. They have a venue that has plenty of indoor areas so they can get married there in the worst case scenario, but they basically have said unless it's snowing or pissin' rain, it'll be outside. I'm sure her bridesmaids in their strapless dresses and flip-flops or slippers will love that. As for my 1-year-old daughter, I'm not forcing her to stay out in the cold like that in a T-length dress with no sleeves. I don't know how to politely say I'm not torturing my daughter or risking her becoming ill because you want a spring wedding in a wintry month. As for the date, they refuse to change it. They've told us April 25th has no significance, is not an anniversary, and has nothing to do with their relationship, but they will not change it, even though we've gently mentioned, hey, May should be much warmer and would definitely make it easier for an outdoor wedding, especially for your guests. Their response is that April 25th is the date, period, and the guests don't matter because it's their day. Whatever, that's fine. We'll bundle up, I guess. Their plan is to have their ceremony under a gazebo-type structure. A very old family friend got some online thing from some vague church so he could marry people. He loves it! We've all known him since we were young, and he offered to officiate my wedding and wrote a wonderful ceremony for a hand fasting for my mom and dad's 25th anniversary / vow renewal, all completely for free. Andrew asked said family friend to officiate, and he accepted. Last night, we told Christy and Andrew it's getting closer, so they need to meet up with the officiant so he can do an interview. They both asked, oh, why? We explained that the officiant was a close family friend, that's why they asked him to do it, and he likes to get a feel for the both of you and your relationship so he can officiate a beautiful ceremony. They don't want that. They just want a general, do you? All right, now you're married. Okay, that seems to defeat the purpose of a personal family friend performing it, but if that's what they want. Anyway, then we asked what they were going to give the officiant for a gift. They both said nothing. No gift. Why do they need to give him a gift? They're also not paying him, and he's doing it for free. At that point, my mom and I are afraid to hear more, but we need to know what's going on. So after their ceremony, their plan is to go to a wedding luncheon with the wedding party only. That would include his parents, her parents, me, and the hubby, her bridesmaids, his groomsmen, and the flower girl / ring bearer. This would exclude the officiant and all other guests, including her brothers and sisters, as well as my sister and brother. Did anyone else not know that you're supposed to get the officiant a gift or something?
That's what I've been sitting here wondering this whole time. I never got past that line.
We're both at the same point. We're like, oh my God.
Like, okay, taking notes for the future.
Yeah, just like another thing about weddings I didn't know that I'll add to the now I know column. At this point, all other guests would be told to go to get lunch, and I quote, wherever. And we'll meet back here in a couple hours at the wedding luncheon, quote unquote, at a restaurant in the next town over that's about 20 minutes away. We are all supposed to foot the bill ourselves. Then we drive back, and we, as in my family, including the ones not invited to the luncheon, will set up the decor and everything else for the reception because Andrew and Christy will be too busy getting ready. After we get everything taken care of, there will be cake cutting and dancing, and then the end of the wedding. No food, snacks, nibbles, cocktails, nothing like that will be provided during the course of this wedding. Andrew also dropped the bombshell that my grandmother, my father's mom, would not be invited because she didn't remember who Christy was at my daughter's first birthday last month. The backstory on that, let's start with the fact that she's 80.
80 years old. You can't remember anything at 80.
Well, let's be, I got a grandma who's, 80.
Yeah.
She's pretty spry.
Okay.
She's pretty sharp up there.
That's great.
But I don't know. When you're 80, you can't be expected to remember every single person you ever meet.
Right. And I don't know exactly how it went, but I could see it happening where it's like she just didn't remember her face or her name or something, but she knows why she's there, kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I'm sure she wasn't like, oh, well, I wish I could forget about her.
Yeah.
It was more just like, oh, oops.
Yeah.
Come on. Then let's go on to the fact that she's met Christy once and only once, almost 2 years ago. Lastly, my grandma has 9 kids. Those 9 kids are married. They all had a minimum of 4 children. Many of those children are now married and have children. My grandmother has over 65 grandchildren.
Forrest.
I don't even know the exact number. I stopped keeping track years ago, about 10 of which have recently or are about to get married. She's 80. She has a hard enough time keeping track of how many people are in her family, never mind what their names are. It was absolutely nothing personal that she didn't know Christy's name. She just forgot. It had been 2 years. It was an honest mistake. So despite her being the only living grandparent we have left, and despite her driving the hour here to make it to Andrew's school performances and sending birthday cards every year without fail to her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, Andrew included, she's now not to be invited. I know this is ranty, but all this plain, bald-faced rudeness is flooring me, and I don't know how to handle it. My dad, once we told him his mom wouldn't be invited, was not only hurt, but angry. He said he will not go if his mom is not invited. Andrew is insisting on not inviting any of the others from that side of the family, and with such high numbers, I can understand, but at least inviting grandma would be polite, not to mention loving. My sister, my mom, and I put together a wedding planning book for them ages ago and gave it to them. It had tips for a small budget, etiquette, timeliness, checklists, and a breakdown of what a basic wedding should have. We got info from multiple sources and spent the time collecting and printing it, but it's completely obvious they haven't looked at it at all. It's like they want this big, beautiful wedding, but they pick out anything that costs them money or means they have to work. Gifts for people who do us favors? Nah. Big princess wedding dress? Check. Supplying food and refreshment of some kind? Nah, they can get Taco Bell or something. Exquisite floor-length gowns with exact matching specified cut and color for the wedding party? Check. Paying for said gowns? No, too expensive for us. I'm sure everyone else can afford it, though. Am I being over the top? Is it just me, or is this really ridiculous wedding behavior? I've been to maybe 6 weddings in my life, attended in 3, fully planned 1, and have helped plan another. I am all for modern weddings where you throw the whole bride's family pays for it, groom's family pays for that out the window, but typically that cost shouldn't rest on your wedding party guests and pretty much anyone that isn't you. How do I explain to them the things that won't fly? I'm not freezing my infant because they're stubborn. And I'm clearly not going to pay for a tuxedo, baby dress, makeup dinner for me and my hubby and play pack mule to set up and take down their entire reception center. I don't care who you are, it's ridiculous and asking too much. Not that they asked if we would set up, they told us that's what was going to happen. I don't want to quote unquote ruin their day. I want it to go well and I want everyone to enjoy themselves, but I can't force them to plan better. That's on them. So my question is how to handle it. Christy is super sensitive and takes literally any criticism as a personal attack, so I want to go delicately here. Also, Christy and I work together, so achieving peace here is very important. There is a tiny mini update here. I sincerely appreciate all of you taking the time to weigh in and offer advice. Just knowing that I'm not the only one thinking this is rude and crazy helps. After talking to my parents and showing them this thread, they decided to talk to Andrew this weekend about a select few things. They should put that they're not serving any food or refreshment on the invite, so people know they won't be fed, as this is not typical for a wedding. And grandma really should be invited, and the officiant, since he is an old friend, doing it for free, needs a gift. As for me, I'm going to set some boundaries with this wedding, mainly with what I will and won't do, and how my daughter will be kept warm during the wedding. I will post a real update on the convo with my brother after it happens. Thanks again, everyone. And we have some comments here. Comment 1, I was all prepared to say it's their day, let them do what they want, because I'm not one for traditional weddings and such. However, they are wasting people's precious time here. No one's going to want to go to their wedding, leave to get lunch somewhere, and then come back several hours later to watch them dance and get cake. They're demanding a whole day for something that doesn't need it. They should just do the cake and punch thing directly after the ceremony and be done with it if they don't want to serve a meal to their guests. OP says, I guess that's where I'm at. Why rent this huge space and try to do the big wedding when what they seem to want is a small one? I don't understand, but they don't see anything wrong with that. Comment 2, this is insane. Have they been hitting the hooch? Honestly, if I was in your shoes, I would tell them your boundaries. Yes, I'll help with, say, putting on makeup, but the bride needs to pay for said makeup. No, I will not let my daughter be out in inclement weather. As for all the oddities and rudeness you've pointed out, maybe you should let someone else step in and talk with them. As your parents are partially footing the bill, I think they can address at least a few things that involve them. And we have an update. Christy actually texted my mom in a panic on Tuesday night because her mom had added some names she didn't know to the guest list of her side of the family. My mom just told her that she could help her and had her come over to talk. Christy brought over her wedding planning book and sat down with me and my mom. My mom asked her about the wedding plans, confirming that they indeed intended to have no meal, that all the wedding party would pay for their own food, etc. Christy confirmed it all. My mom, the saint of offering constructive criticism in the nicest way possible, said to Christy, I worry about this plan potentially hurting feelings on your family's side as well. Do you mind if I explain why I think that? Christy was pretty receptive. She said she didn't want anyone to have their feelings hurt and asked what was offensive. My mom posed this rhetorical situation. I guess she got this idea from my sister. Okay, Christy, imagine your parents invited you over for Christmas. You drive the 3 hours to their house. You dress in your best Christmas sweater and you show up with gifts. Everyone is happy to see you and you hug and visit for a while. Your parents and some of your family then tell you that they are going to dinner and you can't come, but you can go to McDonald's or something. They let you know they'll be back in about 2 hours and to just hang out in the yard, wherever. When they get back, they let you back in the house so you can watch them eat Christmas cookies they made for themselves, open only their presents, and play some Christmas music. Once that's all done, they say, thanks for coming, see you next year, and boot you out the door. Would your feelings be hurt? My mom is a funny and lighthearted storyteller, so at this point, Christy had laughed a couple times with a kind of sad note in there and also said, oh, several times as well. Christy spoke up and said she absolutely understood how that related to their current wedding plans. Seriously, it was like, until that moment, she could see literally nothing wrong with their plans. She explained that they pretty much only had the budget of the $2,000 her parents were giving her to work with, and she was afraid a meal would cost too much. She also expressed frustration that Andrew didn't really help with the planning, and he just kept saying, whatever you want, when she asked for his opinion. My mom and I explained that Andrew probably just wanted the day just the way she wants it because it's always stressed that it's the bride's day. We gave her some tips for engaging Andrew to really get his input. At this point, she had really broken down and we were able to see her a little more for what she is, a young and naive 21-year-old girl, granted with a bit of a passive-aggressive issue, in way over her head, running on little to no help with an event she has no idea how to plan. After chit-chatting a little bit, we talked about different ways to pull off an affordable wedding. We pitched ideas and she either said she loved it, she'd think about it, or no. She liked the idea of having a small ceremony with the 50 people they really wanted to be there, after which there would be a luncheon provided by them this time. After that would be the reception where the guests her mom added and anyone else that wasn't really close to them could come celebrate. There would be a light refreshment for that. She is really not concerned about what the luncheon is, but would like it to be as low cost as possible, but not tacky. My mom, my sister, Christy, and I are going to brainstorm in the next few weeks and look at prices to see what we can find within their budget. Grilled cheese. Then we'll all get together and let Christy and Andrew, if he decides to join, decide which ideas she likes best for both the luncheon and the reception refreshment. Oh, and as for Grandma, when Christy handed over the guest list from Andrew, she was on there at the bottom. We hadn't talked about it, but he must have realized that Grandma deserved to be at his wedding. On my part, I mentioned to Christy I was worried about my little one in inclement weather, and she said they had decided they would plan on doing the ceremony indoors because it was likely the weather would be bad. She still wants to reserve the gazebo just in case it's nice, but she seems much more realistic about the weather situation now. I'm also going to buy grocery store makeup for her makeup for the wedding. It's nice stuff, but not too pricey. And I've let her know that my hands will be full with the baby. So takedown and setup of decor and such will be next to impossible for me. Both my mother and I suggested requesting the help of their bridal party, the groomsmen and bridesmaids, to help with the things that need to be done the day of. She said she was sure that they would be willing to help, but that she'd ask. Many of them are young, single, and childless, so hopefully they'll be more able to help out. She also was asking about the bridal shower. One of her sisters had already volunteered to throw the dough party, but no one in her family had made mention or offered to throw her a bridal shower. So my mom and I are talking about doing that. When I was almost married, I had 2 bridal showers, and people were offering to throw one for me left and right. I feel badly that her family is not doing that. All in all, I feel much more comfortable with what I've agreed to do for them, and I'm happy that we are able to help Christy. In the original thread, a user mentioned that all their plans had been met with negativity. I think this caused them, especially Christy, to shut down and just say, "Screw everybody, this is our day." Really, they just don't know how to plan a wedding, and we can all see that. Rather than seeing that we wanted to help, I think they just heard the negativity of it. Sitting Christy down and explaining that we had some ideas that we thought could help and that we in no way wanted to force her to do anything she didn't like. Well, it helped a lot. We let her know that she could say no if she hated an idea or if she felt we were getting too involved. We still think they need to plan their own wedding, but we've also become more approachable for help in this regard. No, we're not going to plan the wedding for them, but if they're stumped on something or want input, we've offered to help if we can. We'll see as time goes on whether they stick with it or if they fall back into the "we don't care about anyone else" mode. I still feel that they have a lot of growing up to do, and hopefully they can do it together and build a long-lasting relationship for the rest of their lives. Comments. Comment 1, your mom handled it so much better than I would have. Reply, I was going to say, mom is the smart cookie. I probably would have choked them both and let God sort it out. You're not inviting grandma? And folks, yeah, see, that's a blueprint for how not to communicate properly.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't make them meet their maker. So much has happened in these past 2 weeks. Last Sunday, Christy told Andrew she wanted to come over and talk with him and my mom. Andrew assumed it was about wedding stuff because they were getting only a couple months away from the wedding and they had not really done anything. So they get here and go to talk in private with my mom. I was playing with the baby in the front room and I could hear yelling and arguing coming from the back room they were in. I was worried they were having a brawl back there, but just figured they'd work out whatever the heck was going on. Well, they both left, and my mom fills me in. Christy didn't want to talk wedding. She brought Andrew over to tell him in front of my mom, with no prior warning, that she wasn't sure if she wanted to marry him anymore.
Plot twist. Oh, wow.
I mean, is it maybe the most understandable thing in the world to have cold feet at 21?
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
perhaps.
Absolutely.
She wrote a list of 4 things to show my mom that Andrew is doing or has done wrong that she thought couldn't be resolved. My mom told her to, keep her list to herself.
No.
And that they needed to go to couples counseling. At this point, Andrew got really upset because he had tried already to go to couples counseling with her 6 months ago. And she didn't like it because it was awkward and I hate taking responsibility for stuff. I'd rather just blame someone else.
What?
Wow. For the record, that is not a joke or exaggeration. She literally said that out loud and didn't see a problem with it. Andrew also blew up because I guess when he had proposed to her, she had been hinting at it and pushing for it. He basically asked her why she wanted him to ask her to get married just so she could break it off 2 months before. Anyway, I obviously knew they were having issues and had just kept my space. Even though Christy seemed to be trying to pull my mom into it, my mom agreed it was their business and told them to get into therapy ASAP if they wanted to stay together. My brother gets counseling free through work, so they went to 1 session last week. I don't know how that went. I did not ask. Oh, I also forgot to mention, the Thursday before Christy called off the wedding, she went on an all-day hike alone with an old friend. He had been out of state for the past 2 years, Mormon missionary, and she wanted to catch up. They spent the whole day together in the mountains alone, and she posted on Facebook about how awesome it was. It actually pissed off almost everyone close to her, even her sister, who thinks she does no wrong because she's been vocal in the past about how opposed she is to Andrew even talking to a member of the opposite sex. She would literally yell at him and pester him about talking to old friends who just happened to be female, or mentioning that he saw a friend in the grocery store and said hi. But no, it's okay for her to spend a whole day in the mountains with some dude. I complained to my sister, but said nothing until that Saturday, Valentine's Day. I asked Andrew what his plans were for the evening. And he said, oh, Christy and her friend and I are going to dinner. He says, yeah, Zach. He just got back from a mission. So it's the same guy. I asked him if he was okay sharing his Valentine's Day dinner with another guy. And he basically said, I mean, yeah, they're friends. So I want to meet him and he wants to meet me. I was shocked, really, but Andrew is trusting of her. So he's never been possessive like she's been with him. Next morning, Christy isn't sure if she wants to marry Andrew anymore. I work with Christy, for those who don't remember. And the next day, she's telling people that her and Andrew haven't broken up yet, that it's just the wedding that's canceled for now. The day after that, she chopped all her hair off in this really strange and unflattering haircut. Again, this is a thing she would get after Andrew for. He's always enjoyed putting bright colors in his hair, and he wanted to be daring and do his whole head in muted navy blue, but she told him no. But then it's okay for her to go chop her hair to an inch long in the back and maybe 3 inches in the front. The day after her haircut was the therapy session. Andrew seemed optimistic. That weekend, Christy mentions at work that she's going to visit her mom for the weekend. Her mom has always disliked Andrew, and I figured her mom would talk her out of the relationship permanently. But my brother was so tortured at this point that I thought that might be for the best. Cue this morning. I asked Christy at work how her weekend went, and she says, not good. Andrew and I broke up. I just said I was sorry about that and went back to work because I was not expecting that response. I just did not know what on earth to say to that. I had no idea that they had broken up, so I was then worried about how my brother was doing. She then goes on to say this massive paragraph. Quote, but the rest of the weekend was okay. Me and Zach hung out until way late Saturday night just talking. He had his homecoming in the morning. He's the only person that really knows what's going on with me and Andrew. He was really nice and just listened to me. We were laughing because I found a gray hair in his hair and he was totally freaking out. Then we went to the homecoming in the morning. Of course, I only went for the main meeting. So then I went to his house and waited for him to get home from church, which was awkward because it was only his aunt and grandma there. But then we had the luncheon afterwards and whatever. And it was fun. I was tired when I got home, so I took a nap. I'd be like, oh, so you're getting married to Zach.
Yeah, so the wedding's still on. My brother's just not invited.
Are you going to swap my brother and this new guy, your new boyfriend, your new husband that you're engaged to, I guess? At this point, my friend from work, Alicia, is just staring at me, waiting for my response. She looked at me like I was a grenade with the pinout. I couldn't even gather a thought or sentence to say, so Alicia pipes in. I thought you were visiting your family this weekend.
I was. That's who I stayed with.
Well, did you even spend time with your family?
Well, I did talk with my mom on Saturday and stuff.
Okay, but mainly it was about Zach's home thingy, whatever?
Well, yeah.
Christy continued to babble about various things, like how she was going to head to California because her friend had offered to fly her out there. But she couldn't go before because Andrew couldn't afford the airfare to go too. She was just so dang happy it made me sick. When her sister arrived at work, yes, I work with 2 of these people. They talked about Christy moving in with her sister and when and how and all that jazz. I stepped out to call my mom and she told me immediately that she was helping Andrew move his stuff out of the apartment as we spoke. I told her to do it fast before Andrew changed his mind. My mom packed up all the wedding stuff Christy had not been coming over to work on and dropped it at our house when she had finished helping with Andrew. Like she literally dropped the box and shoved it towards Christy with her foot. I think my mom did not appreciate Christy's cheery OMG hi that she had used when my mom walked in the door.
Yeah.
Christy, you little psycho, you just split it off with her son. My mom was taking my sick little girl to the doctor since I couldn't get time off work, so she came for the insurance card and left after. Christy and her sister went in the back room and tittered for a while after the unceremonious drop-off from mom. How she's a horrible person and all that, I'm sure. I somehow remained calm through all of this. I mean, I'm at work. This is personal crap, and I didn't want to talk about it in a professional place. But also, I'm so effing relieved. Christy is messed up. Her whole family has narcissism issues, and I'm so glad my brother doesn't have to tolerate her constant criticism, gaslighting, and verbal abuse anymore. He's now back home, and he is doing so well considering how fresh this all is. He told me he realized last week that it probably was over, but he wanted to give therapy a shot. I think he also wised up about Zach. Near the end of my shift, I went to the bathroom. Thinking that urination somehow rendered me deaf while only being feet away, I heard Christy complaining that Andrew had just texted her and said, "So were you really staying with your parents or with someone else?" She was denying doing anything physical with this Zach guy, but did admit she'd been spending all her time with him lately. She definitely lost her effing weird, peppy attitude after that text. I think because you can't play poor me when you're guilty of carrying on an emotional relationship with another person. Anyway, writing it all out gives me a peaceful feeling. I'm so heartbroken for Andrew, but he dodged a bullet. He wants to continue pursuing personal therapy through work so he can resolve the problems he felt he had in their relationship, thus avoiding them in a future one. And by the way, you can address the fact that we have episodes, full episodes, with stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime. I no longer have to tolerate a toxic person in my personal life, though I do have to tolerate her and her borderline demonic sister at work. However, I feel I can handle this by simply reminding them to keep their personal crap home and be professional at work. I'm pretty sure I can handle it if they start being disrespectful towards him or my family while at work. TLDR, they are not getting married and they broke up, thank the effing gods. And that is the end of that story.